Good morning, everybody. A beautiful Moed, which is the intermediary days of the festivals of Sukkot and Pesach. We have intermediary days. Today is the first of the Pesach intermediary days, as the first days of Pesach were over last night. And now we begin the intermediary days, which go till Sunday night, and Sunday night again we have holiday for 2 more days. And it's really an amazing holiday. I love Pesach. Pesach is incredible. It's even better when you're in your own home. Although I love my parents and my in-laws and being by them in New York, but being in our own home is really fantastic. And hope to celebrate some of Pesach with all of you joining us. So we'll talk about that when we're off here. But one of the unique qualities of Pesach is that we don't see the identical type of growth pattern on Pesach as we do the rest of the year. You see, the Jewish people were in Egypt. The Jewish people are in Egypt and they are enslaved, they are in bondage, and they're suffering. And what happens in one instant, like we spoke about at our Seders, respectively, right? In one instant, we're free. And before we know it, 50 days later, we're at Mount Sinai, at the feet of Mount Sinai, receiving the Torah, having the greatest revelation ever broadcast to mankind by the Almighty Himself. And it's how in the world do we get from such a low level of bondage to such a high level of freedom, of connection, of revelation? So what our sages tell us is that why did God, one of the questions that were asked at our Seder was that wasn't the bondage supposed to be, wasn't the slavery supposed to be for 400 years? It's supposed to be 400 years. And it was shortened to 210 years. And we were only slaves for 210 years. Why? Because the Jewish people, God is constantly monitoring our spiritual status. And the Jewish people were sinking and sinking and sinking lower and lower and lower and lower. And they were getting to almost to the 40, they were in the 49th level of impurity. Had they reached the 50th, they can never get out of there. So God said, we have to change this quickly. So God infused us with that spirituality and holiness, and we went all the way from the 49th level of impurity to different opinions, either all the way up to the 49th level of holiness or to neutral ground. And then we worked our way up all the way to the 49th level of holiness, being able to accept, being able to be at that level to receive the Torah. Now I want to merge this with something else. So first part of this is that we have this concept of jumping. We know we've said this 100 times, right? The most dangerous thing in spirituality is jumping. You're not allowed to jump in spirituality, except on Pesach. Pesach is one time that we don't walk, we fly. Spiritually, we can take leaps and bounds beyond our normal, natural abilities. We can do that on Pesach. It's one time a year that we have the ability to jump, take a crazy step beyond what we're normally capable of. We can do that on Pesach. But how do we get now from neutral level all the way up to the 49th or 50th level? So that we've discussed numerous times in other classes, the importance of taking a one step at a time approach. And that we studied for about a year, we studied at the Bris Shalom class, the 48 ways to acquire wisdom, happiness, holiness, connection. And we did one a week. But what we do during these 49 days, now we're in the second day of the Omer, what we do is we learn one of those and acquire one of those traits, every single one of these 49 days till Shavuot. And it's 48 ways. So we do one a day, and then on the last day we review it all. But the idea is to take one step at a time. It means we need to merge these two ideas. First, jump out of troubles, right? So one of the ideas, if a person has a bad habit, right? So generally speaking, you have to really make a commitment to get out of that bad habit. How do we do that in a natural way? Slowly, right? Slowly you change those habits. Right? Sometimes you need to go to cold turkey. A person has a bad habit of smoking. It's not going to go by saying, I'm going to take one less cigarette and one less cigarette. You just got to cut the cord. But there are other times that we just need, the other times we need step by step. So our bad habits we got to cut right away. Sur meira we see. What's sur meira? Sur meira is removing ourselves from the bad habits. And then the asay tov, which is the step by step process to growing and to become influencing ourselves with positive. And those are the two things we need to merge together at this time, Pesach. Yeah, we have some bad habits. We got to get rid of those bad habits. But now, to put in the good habits, now we got to take a step-by-step approach to instill good values, good habits, good concrete steps to becoming the best we can be. And my grandfather would talk about this a lot, this idea of dilug kfitza. We see that it says that God jumped over the houses. So God doesn't jump, right? So what's this jumping over? The idea is that you can, on Pesach, you have different powers than typically we can just we take a step-by-step approach to our growth. On Pesach, we can jump. On Pesach, we can fly. We don't need that step-by-step approach. So I was thinking, perhaps we should do a 48 ways video, one a day for 48 days, giving us the tools we need to really prepare ourselves for getting ready to receive the Torah. Maybe we'll do that if I have some time. But I do recommend that everyone find a way to learn the teachings of Rabbi Noach Weinberg. You can find it on aish.com. You can find it on aishaudio.com, where he taught the 48 ways in a very, very, very special, clear, and unique way. Each class is about an hour long, but it's life-changing. It was life-changing for me, and it's been life-changing for many, many others who have learned his incredible teachings. So with that, my friends, wishing you all a Chag Kasher v'Sameach, a beautiful, kosher, happy, healthy, and holy Pesach. And we're going to continue with all of our friends on Facebook. We're going to sign off. But for all of our friends here, we're going to continue with our regular, ongoing Chumash class with Rabbi Wolbe on Chumash. And we're going to do some of the Pesach teachings. So with that, have a wonderful Pesach, everyone. Thank you for joining us.